Hey everybody, I wanted to give you a quick demo of the new event scheduler that we have available for all of our controllers and sensors and switches and whatnot. I'm going to make this video two parts. The first part will be an expert's summary. I'll just tell you quickly what you need to do, but I would suggest watching the second half of this video where I'll go into a little bit of detail and tips, tricks, and things to look out for, and some implementation details. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is add an event scheduler. Let's go ahead and kill this. Okay, now, right now, we have a really standard event here. We've got a motion sensor, a trigger lock set to 2 minutes, and then a trigger relay which kicks off this spawner here and spawns a rat. So this is sort of like your minimum scenario. Currently, if I move, I get a bilge rat. Okay, so we are going to want to associate this event with this event spawner, not event spawner, sorry, event scheduler. Now the event scheduler maintains a global database. That means that you do not need to link it to anything, and nothing is linked to it explicitly, or at least in the standard way. You don't create a link to it from one of the other sensors or one of the other controllers or switches. So let's look at the motion controller here, and you're going to notice we have this new field here. You know, the link is like you are familiar with. The event, we're going to call it rat, the rat event. Could be Lord of the Rings, could be Catacombs, could be Wrong 3, whatever the event is that you would like to schedule. Okay, so now we want to associate these two. I don't really want to say link, but it's an implied link. So our event scheduler, you're going to set him up to control rat. All right, and then watch down here. So the scheduler is now scheduling for a rat event. All right, so now our motion sensor has an event associated with it, which is rat, and we have a scheduler for rat. All right. Okay, so I live in the Pacific time zone, and it's now about 10:30, so I'm going to set up this event to fire at about 10:32. All right, so let's do that. So 10:32 and 10:35 will be the end. So I like using set to set the start and end times. It's easier for me. Event start, event end, couple minutes later. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to enable one of these time zones. So we're just going to enable the first time zone here. True. Okay, and it's set up to be 0, which is a valid. We don't want coordinated universal time. We want Pacific Standard. So I know that that's -8. I can point you guys at the resources that tell you what all the GMT offsets are. You probably know your own. Like I know the Netherlands is +1. We're -8 over here. Okay, so we have our first zone enabled, true. it's at -8, and it tells you what it is here. It gives you a nice little text explanation. This is Pacific Standard. Okay, so it's 10:32. It's set to fire off now. So let's see. Let's see if it's active. Not quite. Oh, I've got to set it to PM. Well, that's the problem. Okay, well, it's doing exactly what I said. All right, set event start. 10:32 a.m. Event end at like 10:35. All right, so let's see. All right, our event is active. So what we've said here is for time zone GMT -8, which is Pacific Standard Time, have an event start at 10:32 a.m. and have it end at 10:35, and it's active. So if I move, we're going to get our bilge rat. Okay, so we have another minute and a half or so until it times out, and then the event will be over. While we're waiting, I'll show you how to enable a second time zone. Just like we did the first time, we're going to enable another time zone, and 0 again is universal coordinated time. We're going to make that 1. That'll take care of our folks from the Netherlands. And now it is enabled, and you'll notice that it's still active, which means the event window is open. It's not open for this other time zone. It's open for the Pacific time zone, right? We'll change it later to be open for this time zone. So you can define up to 3 different time zones. And a couple of considerations. You'll put here what you see on your clock. You don't need to worry about daylight savings times. I thought it was really a US thing, but apparently a bunch of different countries have daylight savings times. So when you put in your offset here, just put in standard always, and I will do the calculation for whether or not you're in daylight savings time, and add an hour if appropriate. Okay, so that's the basic machinery. Let's see, the event should have ended. Yes, active is false, which means we're outside of the event window. It's 10:35 and we're at 10:35, so the event has ended. If I move now, there will be no event. And when you're on test center or running under a debugger like I am, I do just give you a little reminder here that the trigger was blocked because of the event schedule for event rat. That goes away in production, but it just helps you to debug your controllers. Okay, so that's a short story. Stick around. I'll give you a little bit more info on the event scheduler and some things to look out for. All right, so while we're here, let's go ahead and set something up for our folks in Europe. So we'll just prove that so let me see, you guys are 8 hours ahead. So that's like let me see. So if we're 10, so you're like 6 let me see, we'll say 6:40. So at 6:40 p.m. and then we'll end at 6:42 p.m. So we're going to go ahead, set the event start to 6:40 p.m. We're going to have the event end at 6:42 p.m. Let's go, and this active should turn to true here because we are now, actually it's not, we're not quite at 6:40. We have a couple of minutes. It's only 6:37 in the Netherlands. Okay, so what's going to happen here in a couple minutes is that the Netherlands event will be activated, and the Pacific event will not. So normally you won't be scheduling events for different times for different time zones. 6 p.m. is dinner time for everybody all around the world, so you'll have a single start and end event which will map to whatever country, whatever time zone, whether or not daylight savings time is on. If you want an event that runs from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., that's what you put in there. That's all you need to do, and then it will activate when that time zone is when that time zone is in that time window between start and end. Okay, we have about 1 more minute for the Netherlands event to start. While I'm here, I will show you a quick, just a quick note. You can't add, and you don't add, multiple event schedulers for the same event. Event scheduler, this one, already defines the rat event. So they truly are global. You can have as many of these event schedulers as you want, but they are all controlling different events. Like you might have one for the wrong dungeon level 3, you might have one for the Catacombs, one for Pirate Island, but you just need the one. Okay. All right, I think we should be active now, and in fact we are. So now the Netherlands event is running. If I move, I'm going to get a rat, and there he is. Okay, so to summarize, for event start and end, you just set them to normal times when players are likely to play. So you just set it to, say, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. on such and such a day, and then it ends, 3 hours later, whatever. And everything will be good. And you can define up to 3 time zones. We could add more, but 3 will probably get us by. So when do you use an event controller, right? An event scheduler? Certain things just simply don't need them. The decision is if the event is ephemeral or transient. It won't be here forever. Boz's Lord of the Rings event is a perfect example of an event that needs a schedule. It runs several times, and then it's done, and then it just turns itself off until we come and reschedule it. Something like the wrong dungeon level 3, that's not really an event, that's a permanent installation, so it doesn't need an event scheduler. The Catacombs, kind of a coin toss. I'd be interested to hear what the rest of the team thinks. I think it's a permanent installation, as is the Pirate Island. So they don't need an event scheduler. However, we could turn it on for like several months and add an event scheduler and have it on for several months and then just turn it off. Okay, so some events clearly need an event scheduler. Others, it's a judgment call. And all right, so we're at 6:42 p.m. in the Netherlands. So active here should now go to false, which it is. Movement now, there are no rats spawning. So that's pretty much it. The event schedulers work on a global database. All of the triggers, motion controllers, switches, everything, they implicitly check the event, right? It's built into the controller. Here's I think an important point. Where do you associate the event? You can see that I didn't put it on the trigger lock. I could, and I could not put it on the motion sensor. And what that would mean is that the motion sensor would send a signal to the trigger lock, and then the trigger lock would block on the event. So the philosophy I would like us to use is that you only need to put the event association on the earliest or the first link in the chain. The very first thing that generates a signal should block it. There's a couple of reasons for this. One is other game masters will always know where to go. They go to the switch that generated the signal, or they go to the motion controller that generated a signal if they want to change the event. But if you go add the event to 10 different controllers, then it's just a little bit redundant. You really don't need it. But if you have multiple inputs to, say, a trigger lock, multiple switches and motion controllers and speech sensors, then you could put it at the triggers or at the trigger lock. It doesn't hurt. They all work. I would just recommend minimizing the redundancy and just put the event link at the earliest link in the chain. So your speech sensor or your motion controller or whatever. Okay, so that's it. I don't think there's anything else I need to cover here. I'll have this up on Test Center. I'd like you guys to try it out, get used to it. A couple of things were a little bit weird, like collection boxes are a little bit odd. Most of the other controllers are very consistent. All the triggers are very consistent, and it was easy to weave into that architecture. The collection box was a little bit of a different beast. So Snafu, if you're out there and you have a few minutes, if you wouldn't mind trying a collection box with the event scheduler, I'd be curious to know, if it works. Okay, I think it'll work, but I just like a second set of eyes. Actually, I like a second set of eyes on all of this, but all the core triggers seem to be working fine. All right, that's it. Get back to me with any feedback you may have. Bye.